Welcome to Linux Saloon, a place to discuss tech, open source, and where Linux is always on tap. Each show we have a talk about Linux projects such as a distribution, desktop environment, or application. We also chat about the news or pretty much anything out there from the community. Anything that's Linux tech and open source related is on the table for discussion. I'm Nate, a Linux fitness and vintage tech enthusiast with an almost healthy obsession with the OpenSUSE project. And with me today, I've got quite the panel of people. I've got Ben, Dale, Zeb, Bit Shady, and Mike Chilson. How is everybody?
Oh yeah, doing all right, thank you.
You know what I'm going to say? I don't really need to say nothing.
That good, huh?
Doing good.
So my mic's a little bit hot. All right. Yeah. So if you would be so kind as to give that little like button a bit of a tickle, make it light up, and also you can subscribe if you have not done so yet. You can also, better yet, join the Discord voice chat here and provide your input. That'd be groovy. And help me to not wear out my vocal cords. You can also join the Discord and Telegram group. Keep the conversation rolling between time and in between time. Meantime, in between time. And also be sure to do the straw poll. If we're doing tonight, we'll be talking about Odyssey Linux. I said Omarchy. Odyssey Linux. So if you have not tried that out yet, there's still time for you to put it on something, test it in a VM if you like, but I think really actually test it on some hardware, if at all possible. Also, did I say you can do the straw poll on that? Yeah, so we're going to straw poll on that tonight. So on the document for today, it's a Linux Saloon Early Edition. So we're going to be talking about all sorts of exciting things, pretty much kind of like an open mic night format, except early edition, basically. And whatever kind of people are working on and talking about or working on, whichever. And but first, what have you been doing in Linux and tech? And right as the show was starting, Mike showed me a really cool thing that he's working on with my favorite lightweight markdown editor. So Mike, what's going on here with MarkLite? You said you've got a new feature, but it's not published, not yet released. Not yet released.
Right, that's right.
Okay.
Let me share this real quick.
Awesome. Watch that stream. So I see it. And, welcome to MarkLite, a lightweight markdown viewer.
Yeah. Let's load a file up. Let's see. I think I got a test one here. Yeah. So here's your regular markdown file. There's the editor version. But I've added, in this next version, I've added the ability to print either the rendered version or the code version.
Okay.
You can print either one. So the rendered version was a little tricky, but got it done. But so yeah, I've added that. I've got one or two other small things, and I'm going to do a 1.1 release.
Okay.
Probably this week sometime, this next week sometime. I've just got a little testing to do, but yeah, so that's what I've been working on.
So I see you have those are links there. So if we click on like overview, does it take you to a different document, or is it all within the same document?
Oh yeah, it'll open it up into the. Well, let me see. Yeah, it opens it up into the browser. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but well, it should have linked. I'm sorry. It opened the document in the browser. That's really weird. I got to check that out. Gotta love bugs, man.
There's a spice of life right there, you know?
That's right. But,
and that's what happens when you do live testing there on screen.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like it. I was just curious because I saw the code and I thought, oh, he's got some links in there. Because I haven't actually tested that at all in MarkLite. I just use it for like a single document or whatever. I don't know, did we talk about this last week? I can't remember if we did. But so I meant to have it done this week, but just the week got away from me. I meant to have it done last weekend, but the whole time's getting away from me. But there's I have this netbook and I have Tumbleweed on there with LXQt, I think is the one I'm kind of settling on at this point. And I was just testing to see how how MarkLite works on there. Works great. I would say there's no perceivable like it's too slow to run it. So it's the perfect application for this purpose. And I think there's I don't know if you heard of Veronica Explains. but she does a
Yes.
yeah. So she does like Linux and RetroTech. She's kind of the place that I really like to be as well. Like that same sort of, you own your technology, you play with it, you use it for whatever, and you're not forcing the markets to limit what you do with your technology, which is kind of really important for me. But anyway, but she took her old I think it's a System 76 laptop and made it like a distraction-free editor using mostly terminal applications, which is cool and everything. But what I'm doing is I want to use a GUI for it, and then with a kind of a little bit different, how I want to execute it. But I want to use a remote file share that I mount, and then I use it just somewhere else in the house or on my property. I'm not going to go like to a park. I'm going to go maybe sit by my chickens or whatever, watch the turkeys as I write or something like that. That's kind of more my intent. So a little bit different. I can sit on a hay bale under a tree over here and take that netbook and not worry about like what happens to it, because whatever happens. So anyway, I really appreciate it. It was like, so I loaded up with a rather large document, and I don't know if you've done like memory testing on MarkLite yet or not, but so it was about 110 meg is what it used of RAM, or that I should say that was reported by it. So I'm not really sure like if that's like the entire, it's probably the entire toolkit stack or something like that, I guess. I don't really know. Yeah. But
I did some large file testing, and yeah, there are some obvious limitations to it, to keep it lightweight. But that's totally cool. Something I wanted to that's something I wanted to point out here too is, I get a lot of emails and questions about, well, why doesn't it do this and why doesn't it do that? And this is not meant to be a full-blown editor, markdown editor. What it's meant to be is a lightweight viewer / editor, and it tries to follow that philosophy of Linux operating systems, that there's the program does one thing really well, and it's small and fast. So that's kind of the philosophy on all the open source projects I develop.
Yeah, and that's actually why I like it. It's very basic. It just does exactly what I need it to do, which is just, I actually would have been, before MarkLite, I would have been just as content editing the markdown file in a terminal text editor. That was the baseline that I was looking at doing. So MarkLite for me was the perfect, I still get I get a better version of what I wanted, essentially. So
that was something people may or may not know. Every open source project that I develop is because I need it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the entire motivation for it. It's not to for any other reason. And it just it just makes it really easy. And the great part about it is I release all of my open source projects under the MIT license. So if you want to take MarkLite and you want to add features to it, I don't accept contributors to my project, because this is what I need. I don't need it to be more complex. So the alternative is to just take the source code and make it yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
and for those people who don't know what it is and don't know where to get it, can someone put the link in chat, as in Linux YouTube chat, so that people can go and check it out for themselves?
That's technically Jinda's job. So when he shows up, he can finally do that.
I got it.
Just kidding.
So talking, designing, and producing the show. Good job, Mike.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, check it out if you've never tried it before. It's if you work with Markdown documents, or even if you don't work with them, you can just install it and set it as the default viewer for Markdown files, and you'll get it. So it's light and it's fast. Even Zeb told me one time, he goes, he couldn't believe how fast it loaded. So
yeah, it is stupidly quick. You click the button, it's open. You open a document, it's open. It's just crazy fast. Yeah.
So that's my whole goal, is to make a small, lightweight things that are fast. So that's all I have, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and I appreciate that. I just like it because I can use it for, real quick stuff. That's really great. And actually, that's a funny thing. So I've noticed that like the applications I like default to for a lot of stuff is the quicker ones, the ones that don't take forever to like load up all its bits and bobs. So like I don't need. So like I do have a PDF like authoring application that I use, PDF Studio, but and it's not a knock on that application. It's a really good application, but it just takes too long for it to load if I just want to view something. And like Adobe PDF Acrobat on Windows is so god awful slow also. So even on my Windows machine at work, I have Ocular, the KDE viewer, because it's so much faster to pop up. And to me, that having that one little, I just want to see it real quick. All right, that's it. That's it. That's all I want to do. I don't need a full suite. I just want to look at it. That's it.
Yeah. Mine is exactly the same use case, because I'll get like development notes from clients, and a lot of times they're in Markdown. And so I didn't need to load the full-blown editor with all the bells and whistles just to read the document,
Right.
So.
Right, exactly. Just keep things simple. I think that's I think I feel like we've kind of forgotten how to do that. Just kind of keep things simple, straightforward.
And I'm sure everybody has their own ideas about what else it needs, but that's why you can download the source code, and if you so desire, to learn how to write in the language in Dart, and add the features you want, and then you have exactly what you want.
Yep. Or I can just ask you if you can please add it, which you did.
Well, as long as it doesn't interfere with my philosophy about it, then yeah, I'll add it. Yep.
Yeah. It was that one little feature that was perfect. Well, the two features. Well, there's three actually. One, it's light. It's quick. 2 has a dark mode, and 3 has the automatic. If it tells it monitors the file for changes, then you can reload it immediately. So if I'm editing it someplace else, so I don't mess things up myself, it takes care of the my chronic ability to make an oopsie. So that was
those were all good features.
It started off with 1, and it became 2. Now it's 3. Next week it'll be 4. Needy, aren't you?
I am. I'm needy. Except I think everything's actually met now. All my needs in that regard. I don't think I need anything else. Maybe. Wait. No, I have a question for you. Now that we're talking about it, sometimes my paragraph's really long and it doesn't automatically word wrap. Would that be a hard thing to have a word wrap?
It doesn't. You're in the editor or the viewer?
Editor. Viewer it does, but in the editor portion. No is an okay answer.
I mean, I'll have to look. Most editors don't word wrap. I understand what you're saying. Let me check. There may be a feature to turn on to do that. If so, I'll turn it on. It's no big deal.
Yeah, that'd be the only thing I could think. 3 features.
I just
4
wrote
features.
it. I just wrote it down.
And then next week when we talk about it, I'll have another one for you. I'm just kidding. I can't make Zeb right.
Well, it helps to have feedback. People, I'm just me. I can't think of everything. So feedback is super important. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
As is, and this is what we need to remember with all of the projects we use, drop the developer an email and say thank you. It really boosts the ego, and it makes them smile when they read that email. Normally the emails they get, oh, why does it do this, and why can't you do that, and you haven't fixed this yet, and all. just love your project. Thanks very much for producing it. Goes a long way.
Yep. Everybody likes to be appreciated, right?
Mm-hmm. Muted.
I appreciate all of you for being here. All right. Well, good deal. Well, thank you very much, Mike, for kicking off the conversation here. It's good times.
That's 10 minutes you don't have to deal with now.
Well, actually, we're at 19 minutes and 43 seconds.
Oh,
Not that we're
wow.
counting.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that definitely saved a lot of work.
Well, so to me, the fun is conversing about whatever. And, you know, this kind of, I don't know if any of you were in your youth, although Ben, you're still there. So for the rest of y'all, maybe Robin, he probably is still in his youth, I think. Definitely Bit Shady is. But, you know, when you were younger and had more time, like in your 20s, you know, and you go to, like, I guess for Zeb it'd be a pub or a saloon or whatever, and you just chatted about whatever over, you know, beverages or a cheeseburger or something, or fish and chips if you're, you know, at a pub. And so it's kind of one of those, it's kind of like that, except I don't, you know, I can come from my own home. So just wherever the conversation wanders, you don't walk in there thinking, well, maybe you might. Well, I got a thing I want to talk about with my buddies, you know, whatever. So here we talk tech. So real quick, tonight we are doing Odyssey Linux. So there is a straw poll, cubiclenight.com/polls. So if you've checked it out, or if you didn't check it out, want to leave a comment, do a vote, that would be awesome. cubiclenight.com/polls. Vote for your experience with Odyssey Linux. And there's still time to test it out. So there's links to it, everything there as well, I think. All right. So this is an early edition. And so for the early edition, we just chat about, it's kind of an open mic night, except it's, you know, kind of a free-for-all. And something that has kind of been, I think the zeitgeist is what you would say, is, you know, after Sony has now kind of backpedaled a little bit on their physical games, a lot of discussion about owning games and whatnot, and kind of the, if we want to call it maybe like the hero of games right now, GOG Galaxy, or GOG I should say. But I wanted to, I just wanted to bring up, this is not going to necessarily go into the article itself in depth, but they, GOG confirms, or GOG, Grand Old Games, the Grand Old Games? I don't know. Their long-awaited Linux version of Galaxy client is in active development. And so they have a desktop client. Now there's other clients you can use right now, like Heroic, but so those are things all work. But so there's there are years of community requests for this, and they're finally doing it. They're hunting for Linux developers in the past. I don't know if they've answered that or not. I haven't looked that up, but anyway, so it's kind of an exciting development in the in you can do mini Galaxies, one you can use right now. But it's an exciting development that's kind of going on. It kind of, especially with GOG, you can actually own the games, like whatever you download, they're yours. So in a way, they're better than physical copies, in a way, because it's an actual copy of the game, not just a key. And it's, you know, it's all there. So I kind of want to kick it off with, does anybody here use GOG for games? Yep.
Yeah, I jump on there every week and grab the latest and greatest that appears in the various emails and newsletters that come around. My biggest problem, though, is I've probably now got over 700 games in various libraries spread around various platforms. I play 2 games. What am I doing? Yeah, and we had a discussion, I forget where it was now, but we talked about how much disk space you would need if you were to install every game that you have in every library that you own. And I reckon there's not going to be much left out of 8 terabyte of disk space. Because some of the games are stupidly big nowadays, but some of the older ones were a lot smaller. So, what are you guys running? How many games do you have that you don't look at? You're just hoarding away in the corner just in case?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think how many I do actually have that I'm just hoarding at this point. There's a lot. And then I think I kind of go through phases. Like I play this game for a while, then go to another game, then to another game. But if I'm honest, I probably most of the games I play are a little bit older, like early 2000s into the 90s. Although I have been playing new games for the Commodore 64 because I can. So that'd be probably the only new game, but it's kind of quasi-new, I guess, because it's an old platform. I don't know.
I have 64 games in my Steam library. Only about 2 or 3 of those maybe 4 are actually installed. But I couldn't imagine how much room 60 plus games would take up.
Yeah. When I have to look at my library. Oh. I actually don't have Steam installed right now.
And by the way, all but one of those 60 plus games will run in Linux.
Oh yeah? That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
So I need some more context on this. So Old Wolf R95, oh, it's not popping up. It says C64N support here in 2003 as a factory machine. 2003? Are you sure it wasn't 1993? Because you can buy new Commodore 64 Ultimates, the 2025 version. So now I need to know what Old Wolf is talking about here. That was an era when 8-bit machine was equal to IBM. Yeah, that's true. But anyway. So what about you, Ben? How many games do you have on your machine?
On my computer, for example?
Yeah, sure.
I have, counting Galaxies, SWTOR, a lot of almost $1,000 worth of Steam games, and I don't know how many more. Honestly, I've lost count, I want to say. I think I have 50 plus Steam games. Some of them aren't even installed, but, I want to say, actually, I'll pull up Steam and I'll tell you how many are installed, because the 3 MMOs I mentioned are 3, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 13 Steam games installed on my SSD. Now,
how many do you actively play?
Out of all of them, it's not, I don't know how many of them I actively play, but, I want to say out of the 16 games that I have on there, maybe 3 out of the 16 that I have installed. So actively, I can probably say 3, and most of them are repeats because I have multiple servers installed. So, it's not that I don't want to play them. It's just I struggle to make time because 3 of them I actively do develop for, with my own custom versions and stuff. So, a lot of it is I want to get around to them, but it's just it's just a simple ladder of time and all that sort of thing. So it's just very, very, there's not enough hours in the day to devote to. Plus, I have Storm OS that I work on sometimes out of the day, and IRL stuff too. So it's, a lot of the games that I own or have bought, it's a lot of extra time that I just don't have to devote to some of these games, And I'm sure we can all, attest to having other games that we want to get to, but there's just, again, not enough hours in the day to play them all, right, Seb? And your
exactly.
microphone is...
Yeah, not enough hours in the day. Even retired, doing nothing else. I'm so busy.
With...
Who's got their... Someone's echoing.
Sorry, hold on.
Yeah, so, even retired, and I don't do anything else but sit in front of the computer doodling all day long. There's not enough time to sit down and play a game for 2 or 3 hours because I'm thinking, my brain goes, what else are you missing? Stop wasting your time on that and start searching for stuff again. And it's just, I need to get a bit more organised and we'll have a gaming morning this week, and then we'll have a noodling morning, and then, but I'm just everywhere and anywhere. And I'm still waiting to play against you, Nate, in World of Warships.
Yeah, I didn't have enough storage to install it. I have to install it again, but I since then reinstalled because I had a bit of a kerfluffle on my computer. So
yeah, you also don't have enough time to play it, mate. So I'm only pulling your leg.
No, it's something I want to play though. Wait, what is this? Something Star Trek and World of Warships? What's going on here?
Yeah, there's a collaboration that Wargaming do. You can have your ships decorated like Star Wars, or Star Trek, rather.
Star Trek.
Yeah.
Well, I got to look into this one. This might be kind of fun.
I think I invaded everybody's brain with Star Wars right now. I don't know how, but I did. Haven't I, Zeb?
Yeah, it is Star Trek, yeah. And when they first came out, everybody was complaining that you've got a multi-billion-dollar organization like Wargaming, and I swear they just pulled somebody off of the street and said, can you imitate Picard? Yeah, that'll do. And it sounds nothing like Jean-Luc Picard when there's a voiceover in the game. And even Worf, they've just got somebody making guttural sounds that's like nothing remotely like Klingon. So it's quite comical in that respect. But the designs of the ships are quite good. But in all things gaming, it's not cheap.
They're still in the water though, right?
Oh, it's all on the water. You've just got the aircraft carrier is shaped like the USS Enterprise.
Oh,
so
okay.
Because and Janeway's ship takes over the Tier 10 Salem and stuff like that. And it's just they have scientific gun sounds, not the normal boom of a 15-inch cannon. It'll be like a pew 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 or whatever. So some people like it and some people absolutely hate it. And they also do Azure Lane collabs and High School Fleet collabs if you're into anime. But yeah, they're not cheap. I think the top bundle to get all of the commanders and all of the camos for the ships is something like 210 UK pounds. I don't know what that translates to in dollars. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's slightly more in the US bucks.
And at the end of the day, all you're buying is pixels and a voiceover. Crazy.
Well, isn't that all games are though, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're buying art.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, I just think it's... So I wonder, do you really... So World of Warships is all online, right? Are there any like campaigns that are not online? Or is it all online?
When you say campaigns, what do you mean?
Well, okay, so there was a game I really enjoyed playing, like back when I had a 286. It was called Red Baron, and you had like these. You could play as the Axis or the Allies, a World War I simulator thing kind of game. And you have these campaigns where you're a pilot, and you get new planes over time, whatever, and then the war ends. So, going after the Zeppelins was my favorite part. But anyway, so I'm wondering if, like, with World of Warships, you have that sort of you like play a campaign, like or is it all online as far as the like?
No, everything is played. It's not an offline game. Oh, you can solo play, but it's not an offline game, and there are no campaigns as such. They have tried to recreate historical naval battles of the past, and that's where the Navy historians get really antsy with wargaming because, the hood in your game doesn't have torps, and it had torps in real life, and all this, and the guns aren't the right shape. And it's like, boys, it's a game. It's a arcade game with some historical facts. But yeah, some people get really, really antsy about the technical details of what ships could do, what ships couldn't do, why they're now bringing out submarines. Well, submarines were a unique part of World War I and World War II.
Mm-hmm.
But it is, at the end of the day, an arcade game, not a historical, factual game. But I just like it. It's fun.
Yeah, it looks fun. I've watched some people play it besides you, and I don't know about this whole Star Trek thing though. That makes it even more fun. That definitely makes it a lot more fun. So speaking of games,
hold on, Nate. Before we get into that, I have a shocking revelation about StormOS real quick. I
shocking
just booted
revelation.
up my XFC. Yes, well, I booted up the ISO that I just built last night or a couple days ago, and the XFC terminal is fixed finally.
Well, yay.
Yes, and I have yet to test the calamaris because we all know how much that darn thing can break, so I have to check that. But luckily, the terminal is finally fixed, for crying out loud. So now the only thing is that there's a leftover server.py and HTML that I had from my broken welcome app, so I have to get rid of that. But beyond that, it's working, thank God.
Well, it's good.
Whew.
It's always good to have an accomplishment.
So I
Someone who said they're not
almost
technical.
have my August release done.
So speaking of your August release, are you going to be including ClamAV, the antivirus 1.5.4?
If it's not in the AUR, then I should be able to.
Wouldn't that be funny?
If it's in the AUR, then I'll have to add it to my repo.
Irony right there.
I will look into that, but ClamAV, maybe, I don't know yet. I will let you know.
Yeah.
And why do you ask about that?
Oh, well, because
the AUR, plus the AUR is getting absolutely mullered at the moment.
Yeah.
Yes, so
there's a big question of should you be even using the AUR right now unless you are a complete technical guru.
That is a true fact, Zeb. So I
Which
would
is why
say
Nate mentioned ClamAV.
Does download any Linux, any Arch-based distribution, or heck, even Arch itself outside of mine, if you're watching this later, whether it's this one or the later one, please, for the love of God, don't use the AUR on StormOS Arch distro, because you will probably receive malware. by whether it's intentional or not, right, Zeb?
Yeah, which is why Nate was mentioning ClamAV.
Right.
Yep.
Well, like I said, if it's an AUR package right now, it's probably not going to happen because, I don't want to on purpose, you know, it's not, yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead, Nate. What was you going to say?
Well, things are kind of crazy here in the security front as far as everything,
Right.
even Linux now. So when we first started doing,
Hold on. I just
the
Googled ClamAV Arch. It's a standard package, so yes, it will be included on the August release.
good. So
Go ahead.
with all the different tools
Sorry.
like these advanced machine learning tools and whatnot, they've been finding lots of vulnerabilities. It's in the news right now quite a bit. Like there was like This Week in Linux talked about it as well. And so I'm wondering, like, you as a user in Linux now, like before, if you asked me 20 years ago if I was going to run anything like antivirus on my computer, I was going to be like, probably not. But now things have kind of changed a little bit. And now I'm kind of wondering, like, for those of us that are here, obviously keeping your machine patched and just being smart with it, that's your number one defense against anything. But are you concerned more today than you were, let's say, 10 years ago about compromise on your machine?
Well,
I'm only more concerned purely and simply because AI is so prevalent now, and it wasn't back then. I'm not saying you didn't have clever hackers back then, but it's so much easier now for someone who's got half an ounce of intelligence to jump on some sort of LMV or LLM and create a new malware attack or a new attack. And whilst in the old days we used to say, Windows users, it's all your fault, you're the ones who are bringing all these viruses into the world, Linux is being attacked big time nowadays. So it was actually a question that I brought up on Destination Linux as well, and I'd have to go back and review what Ryan said, but it was definitely something that you could use as part of a layered defense system. I'm not, because if I get a virus, I just nuke and pave it. I don't need long-term stability. So as long as that virus isn't going to infect my motherboard or anything like that, then yeah, if my machine starts playing around or messing up or doing things that I don't think it should do, I don't automatically think malware virus, someone's hacked me. I think I did something stupid and I broke it, let's reinstall it.
That's a fair
and
take.
I'll be honest, Nate, I'll be honest, regardless of distribution, I do
You do what?
I will say, if I get a virus, I just restore my backup or nuke and pave. That's just me. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Chuck Frisbee's, I think I'm saying it correctly, says AV, as in ClamAV, is only going to catch known signatures. Novel vulnerabilities are not going to get caught. AV is cope with AUR, my 2 cents. Yeah, I think that's probably pretty accurate. I don't know. I'm not a security expert, but that would be, obviously it's only going to catch what it knows, the known signatures. So that's the thing right there. Known signatures, novel vulnerabilities not going to get caught. Oh, I hear my echoing. And then Joe of Tux Power PC says, now that Linux is climbing in user base, Linux target is getting bigger. Yes, it is. It's been pretty big in the server area for quite a long time, so I don't know about that. And then say Johan B says antivirus are always behind on the latest ones. It's true. And then he also says time to move to BSD. But then BSD Saloon just doesn't have quite the same ring to it though, so we're not gonna have to. We can't have you moving to BSD. You can always go to Haiku Saloon. That sounds good. Haiku Saloon. Then Heather says, I just turn the firewall on and leave it at that. I think that's a good start for sure. Don't click on weird links and leave your firewall on. See, I think the insidious things are actually not really easy to compromise with software. It's usually human engineering. So, you need to reset your password. Here's the thing. So you click on that to get your authentication. That's how they get you. That's typically, scam emails. That's more inclined to get you than anything else. Most other stuff is not really very common.
And as Steve's very own said, a firewall won't stop viruses.
No, it won't. It'll stop the snooping traffic, but typically your firewall, your edge device, your router has some sort of firewall up. Although they can be very porous if you let it. So like UPnP, turn that off, but then your kids are going to complain because they can't connect to PlayStation Online or something like that, or Nintendo Online or whatever. So my recommendation is you don't open up for everything. You put those machines on a certain segment of your network, and then you open up those ports only for those devices, because if they compromise the PlayStation, what do you care? It's locked out from the rest of your network anyway.
If you know how to do that, most people will just go into their router and open up however many ports that particular game needs.
That's true. So Blue Bubble says, harden your kernel. Oh, I just missed it. So anyways, he says, harden your kernel, GCC, glibc, and you'll be okay. It's probably true. Oh, there it is.
Whatever that means.
Well, I think you can turn certain features off. So do different mitigations. You can turn all your mitigations like automatically on for your kernel, stuff like that. So I largely use antivirus just to prevent myself from being a carrier and sending it to somebody else. That's more my concern.
I would take a look at ClamUI that's out there. They have a really nice interface to ClamAV, and they even have audit. They have an audit feature that checks your firewall, lets you know how many ports are open in your firewall. It just checks a lot of obvious things for you if you're not a techie.
Okay, so we have a flat pack here.
And
can check that out.
Seems to work fairly well. Yeah, seems to work fairly well. Let me put a link to the website out there.
It'll also be in the show notes.
Or do like I just did and download it off a Flatpak.
Yeah. That's right. If anyone wants to check it out. But it works fairly well. Doesn't seem to have any major issues.
So ClamAV inspects your system's posture the way Linux Savvy Admin would. Firewall, Mac, AppArmor, SE Linux, SSH hardening, rootkit checks, and more. Oh, see, that's pretty cool. So it's more than just ClamAV. It's an actual security suite.
Now, talking about doing things that you shouldn't do live, if I go off air, it's because I'm now going to ask it to scan my Windows drive, which is connected via known disk utility. So if I disappear, I'll reboot and come back.
Okay.
See, now we kind of.
Oh my God, Zeb!
That's some excitement.
Zeb, you're turning blue. What?
Yeah. And it won't even let me pick what I call my downloads directory. Select files to scan. So you can't scan directories, you have to scan files. That's a bit weird.
No, you can do directories. First, you've got to get the latest. You got to get the latest database first.
I clicked the wrong one. I did a typical Zeb and just clicked the first button I saw, which was files. Now I'm doing, oh no, not that one. That one there, click select and start scan. Virus database not found. Okay, so download now. Why didn't they download it when they installed it? I mean, come on, developers.
Well, they have
if you download an antivirus client, you expect it to automatically update with the latest virus definitions.
Well, I think the trouble there is those virus definitions are constantly changing.
You're muted, Seth.
No, he just lost his connection.
No, I'm fine. What it should say then is you've opened up antivirus, you've opened up ClamAV, you don't have the latest definitions. Would you like to download them? It's like a 2-second system check that the AV can do. Why don't they make it easier for users? Why does everything have to be so technical?
They do it so you can, because you haven't been complaining enough lately, so they want to make sure you have something to talk about.
And I'm going to go on a rant now because it now says fresh clam is not installed. Please install it with sudo apt install ClamAV fresh. I'm on flipping Bazite. That's not the right command. If I go red, it's not because of the screen colors have gone wrong. Just sort
And
it out, will
this
ya?
is one of the issues with things like Flatpak and Snaps. Okay, is you're in a containerized environment and it needs to install a system level utility to be able to run as a service. So it can't do that.
So why didn't it tell me that when I installed it from a Flatpak? Why didn't it say, oh, we noticed that you're on Bazite. You can't run this machine. Come on, you guys, these developers are the really clever ones out there. They know what the Linux space is like. And yet that ClamAV assumed everybody's on Ubuntu based or Debian based with sudo apt install.
So here's a fun little FYI, although I haven't tested it lately, but at least you used to be able to just run apt install and in OpenSUSE, it'll work just the same because they have aliases to do the equivalent zipper command. I don't know if that's still the case. Dale, you're nodding yes on that one.
I know it used to. I don't know if it does now, but I am trying it as we speak. Apt command not found. So it no longer does it by default.
Oh, well, it used to. I wonder if there's a package for that.
I am looking. I'm way ahead of, well, not way ahead of you, but yeah.
That's funny. Too funny. So I guess all that said, are any of you like really concerned about like the? I do feel like the cybersecurity situation has changed a lot, like in the last couple of years, like maybe more like in the last year, especially in the whole Linux. I think ever since the AUR has been compromised, or actually let's wind it back a little bit further. When the Snap Store got like some malware in it, that didn't concern me as much. But I think what's going on with like the AUR, this kind of ongoing thing there, I know, concerns me quite a bit. I'm a lot more hesitant now to say, oh, it's Linux, it should be okay. But
well, the AUR issue, in my opinion, that's kind of like a example of what not to do. Okay. And the reason is because when you give everybody rights to do anything and they can upload everything, this is going to happen, period. You got to have some kind of controls in place. I mean,
yeah.
I'm all about free software and open software and everybody doing what they want to do, but this is reality, okay, not fantasy. And there's always going to be bad actors.
Dale, it's called Zipper Aptitude, the package.
Yeah, I hadn't got to you yet, and I did the info on it. Provides compatibility to Debian's aptitude command using Zipper.
Mm-hmm. That's fun.
Fun.
I think I might install that on all the OpenSUSE derived machines at work. This way, because my IT tech that I have, he's more familiar with Debian and Ubuntu, so I'll just do that.
Yeah, probably work good.
And I don't think this is just Mike's opinion, so everybody take it for what it's worth. I don't think I would install a virus scanning software in a flat pack or a snap. That's something that needs system level access to be able to check everything. And
yeah, if you look at the flat pack for Clam, it says that it's just the front end UI. You have to have the back end installed on the host system.
when did you sneak in, Eric?
Quite a while ago.
Oh, I didn't see it. Sorry.
Yeah, I've been on for about 10 minutes. No, that's okay. I didn't say anything. I was getting ready. Because I looked it up whenever Zeb mentioned that, and because I thought the same thing. Of course, it can't run from Flatpak, and yeah, that's one of the reasons. Stuff like that. Not that I run antivirus, but one of those types of things, system level things, of what make running immutable distros, atomic, whatever you want to call them. That's been the biggest friction for me. Is that I inevitably run up.
We lose him.
Against.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out, Eric.
That's because his antivirus is checking his system.
There you go. That's it.
And it's running slow now, yeah.
Yeah, he's running
Sounds
like slow as a dang tortoise. I hate to say. How you doing, Eric?
I was going to be really mean then and say he's probably running Odyssey OS, but I won't. Oh, I just did.
No,
My bad.
It's just Discord. Discord
Odyssey
hates me.
OS. Hey, it could be worse, guys. It could be on mine and having complaints. Or not knowing what the heck he's doing.
VPN works. I'm gonna try to connect.
Yeah, they got something going on, Eric, because I noticed over the last 3 days there's been like 4 updates to Discord.
Well, I noticed if I just search for install Discord, it wants me to do the PTB, which is the public test build. It's like trying to force me to use that, and so this time I specifically chose the stable version, and I'm still having the same. What happened was, as soon as I turned on my camera, everything froze for 10 seconds, and then when I mute and unmute, it freezes. Like it's like anything. Any interaction I take with it, if I'm just sitting there and I leave it alone, it'll finally catch up. But yeah. Anyway, it's frustrating.
I'm sorry to hear you're having so many dang issues.
Eh.
What distro is this, Eric?
It doesn't matter. It must just be either my network or because it happened on Fedora and it happens on Debian, it happens on Ubuntu. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what OS you're on; it keeps happening.
So yeah, and it happens for other people using Linux as well. So
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
What I'd like to do is this Clam UI thing. I've been working on. I have like a script that I run that checks all these things, and
yes,
and so this actually might do everything that I'm doing manually. I didn't know about this until who brought it? Seb, did you bring this up? Who brought this up? Clam UI.
Well, installing it, me, but you brought up the topic.
No, but like who brought?
Well, I mentioned it. Yeah, I mentioned it.
Okay, Clam. So whoever mentioned it, thank you. Because I was looking at. So I have a script that I run that it goes through and verifies there's no issues with SE Linux enforcing. There's no incidences of any applications trying to bounce out of its containment that SE Linux enforces. And then I checked. Then it checks, which I think Blue Bubble brought up, this AIDE, AIDE, you have to actually update your definitions every time you do software updates, that's the one thing that I don't like. But you can do check for any issues there, and then I use something called RK Hunter. It's for rootkit, so it checks for rootkits as well. But it looks like this does everything that I want it to do, but I haven't tested it out yet. So this is actually pretty cool. I mean, I don't really care about the antivirus piece of it as much, because that doesn't concern me as much as rootkits or applications that might try and break out of their, do something naughty. Essentially, those concern me at a greater level. Does that make any sense? When I'm barking down that tree, or not really?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got some good audit features in it. It really does.
Right, and that's actually what I'm interested in for sure. So I don't know. Did it say it uses 8 as well? Yeah. Anyway, I got to check this one out. This might be this looks pretty cool. Yeah. Anyway, so
and I'm guessing that's why Bazite works for me, because I'm not technically competent enough to do all of their jiggery pokery they want done with Dockers and all that sort of stuff. So install the software you want, run it, and it just works. And yes, Nate, despite your poll last week, I'm still on Bazite.
Well, we have up to 6 months, I think, before that poll invalidates itself.
Mm-hmm. So that'll be. I'll see you just after Christmas on Bazite.
Hey Zeb, there's another package called ClamTK that is. It's just a ClamAV is really, it doesn't have a UI. It's just a command line application. But you can install it, and then you can install ClamTK, and it's just a very simple GUI interface.
Yeah, but the problem with that is, hang on, it needs. Where are we? Because I've just been trying to do that while you guys were talking. It needs ClamAV FreshClam, ClamAV-FreshClam to be installed. And that's when the documentation that I was looking at was talking about, you can do this, you can do that, you can get a Docker, you can run this, you can open that. And I'm like, next.
Yeah, that's the service that runs in the background that keeps you updated
and gives you the database to do your first scan. And without that database, any GUI you've got, any UI you've got, not going to do a thing if you haven't got a database for it to check against.
Yep.
Oh, wait, so ClamTK is like a service that runs in the background?
No, ClamTK is just a simple GUI.
Oh, okay.
The FreshClam is the service that runs as a daemon. And it does your updates. It does, if you do scheduled scans, it handles the scheduling of all that.
So Steve's very own says, I preferred fried clams.
Yeah, those are.
I don't think I've ever eaten a clam.
I don't know. I've had like deep fried clams, like from like Long John Silver's or something like that. Maybe the only time I've ever had. Probably not the best clams you can buy.
If they're cooked correctly, they're really good. If they're not, they just taste
like rubber bands, bread-coated rubber bands.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
My family and I would go stepping for clams. So basically, they live in the mud in the bay, right? Mm-hmm. And you just walk backward, and you kind of like dig your heels in. It's like this really funny little shuffle, and then you feel it, and it just feels like you're stepping on a rock, and you dive under and pick it up. And yeah, we used to get 200-300 clams between the, I don't know, like 5 or 6 of us, and then we'd boil them or steam them or bake them. Clams Casino is you do it with it's like green pepper.
Yeah, and can you get clams on beaches as well? Because I seem to remember.
Really
yeah, could you get them on beaches as well? Because I seem to remember
you can. Razor clams, and there's different kinds. So
because when the sea went out and you were just left with like a wallowy, whooshy bit of water, we was always told to look for the little bubbles that came up. I don't know what those bubbles were, but then when you found them, you get your spade out and you dig down deep, and then I used to throw them in the bucket for my uncles and aunts, but just didn't like the look of them when they opened them up. And no.
Yeah, that and oysters and all that stuff. It's sort of an acquired taste, I think, or
Mhm.
something you eat from when you're very young. But yeah, I like all that stuff.
Yeah, we used
Which
to
is
cook them on the grill with like butter and garlic. Mm.
nice. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Anything with butter and garlic is automatically delicious.
That's true. Here's some
Right.
cardboard with butter and garlic.
Mmm, delicious.
It's a little chewy, but tastes good.
It's the only way to eat asparagus.
Lots of fiber.
Oh, yeah.
We'll soon have to change
you
the
don't like
name of the show
asparagus?
to Linux
Oh,
Cafe.
we're gonna do a watch stream of someone's gonna be doing a stir fry or something.
Yeah. I don't know, man. With this crowd, it'd probably be a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Okay. Just saying.
I think
I got some
I
pretty,
think Johan,
pretty decent
Johan
chefing
has,
skills myself.
so Johan has summed it up in chat perfectly.
Yeah.
What?
Mhm.
Burr yuck?
Oh,
Just
Nate,
like
on the
oysters, it's
top-
like
back on the
slurping
topic
your
of,
own snot.
Oh, I should tell you, guys, I just checked the ClamUI thing on Arch, and sadly, I can't include it because it's an AUR app. So, so I can include the ClamAV part, but not the UI part. Sorry.
I think it's just a Flatpak app. The UI is just a front end to all the different little components.
Yeah, the UI is just a front end, and here's the thing: most people, well, I did include the system CTL commands to start ClamAV by default, but unfortunately, including the GUI front end, right now until the AUR stops getting slammed, it's not gonna be an included application, unfortunately. So
So when you run sudo pacman minus capital S ClamAV, that grabs it from the AUR, does it?
no. I'm talking about the ClamUI, Zeb, not ClamAV, because ClamAV is a regular app or a non-AUR application, but the ClamUI, you would have to either do the chaotic AUR or yay in order to install it. And while the problem is, as you said, with the AUR being DDoSed and hacked to the nines right now, I would not feel comfortable including that particular application. That's the issue. So
Ben's
do you think
mic gone off.
Do you think
Was
it'll
it
ever?
me?
I can still hear you.
do what, Nate?
Do you think the AUR will ever actually get resolved? Like, this is a serious question. I'm not trying to poo-poo on the AUR, but it's a serious question.
Sure.
Do you think they actually have a resolution for all this going forward? Do you think there's something that's actually going to stick?
Well, my opinion is on this, I hope so, but like Brody said in his video, and I kind of agree with this matter, the issue is there's always going to be hackers out there. There's always going to be people trying to do malicious things to the AUR and other Linux systems. So, yeah.
Well,
So as much as I'd love to believe and ensure people that we are safe from the AUR being muddled with, I guess is the best way to put it cleanly, this will probably never stop being a problem. So, the harsh reality is, like with Windows, like with Mac, like with Linux, or heck, even BSD, which BSD is one of the most secure operating systems, I'd say, on more so than Linux, maybe. Geez. there's not any real logical way, or I don't know, there's really just no way that I think we can securely say the AUR is going to ever be fixed, so to speak. I mean, sure, they could secure it in 1,000 ways from Sunday, but I'm sure Zeb would back me up on this. There's just no way the AUR will 100% be secured, right, Zeb? Because it's user packages. There's no real way that user packages will ever be 100% safe, will there?
Well, I think
I wish there was, but go ahead.
Well, I think
but
the
there's
issue's
no
not-
way.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just saying there's no way that any curated package manager can be 100% safe.
Yes.
I guarantee you, not every single Ubuntu package is checked by a human being every time a new version comes out. There's just too many packages out there and not enough time by humans. So the thing is, I don't think that this is just going to affect the AUR. It's going to make everybody nervous about everything. Yeah. So, I mean, and the AUR is just the wild, wild west. And you'd have to employ like 1,000 people to make it a curated package. And no one's going to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. I mean, is because there's no controls in place. I mean, even like Fedora, Ubuntu, all those, in order to get an application into their package manager, there's a very, very rigid process you go through to do that. It's not just upload it and they check it. I mean, you basically have to provide the source code, and yeah, it is checked by those. I know 2 of them that do that. I can't answer that for all of them, but they all at a minimum have an automated process that does a checksum against the current version's source code when that package is uploaded to their package manager.
Yeah, I know everything's a lot more scrutinized for official packages and distributions. So I guess then the question is, even FlatHub is very, very, they scrutinize everything there too.
Yes.
So,
well, snaps do too, to a degree. They both are about the same security wise on checking stuff. But the issue with the AUR is it's wide open. It's just whatever. I mean, how can you operate? How can you expect there not to be bad actors in there?
You're always gonna. I mean, yeah, I think there are people who don't care, just bad people. Is the problem.
And my understanding from a simplistic point of view is that they've been attacking all of those packages that have been abandoned and nobody's updated them in 4 or 5 years. So they just come along. Everybody thinks, oh, look, we've got a new maintainer. Wallop, download it. Because who reads the PKG script when you download from the AUR? I mean, who really reads it and understands what it says?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, some people do. But what percentage would be the question, I think, of people who actually download it, right?
Well, the dynamic of it is that in many cases, the build script itself is calling to a third-party source. So there's always the potential that something upstream is compromised and that the person that put together the package build in the AUR had no, malintent, and it was just because unknown to them and unlucky for them, the package they're calling on is been compromised. So there's no such thing as a perfect system, and honestly, I have an unpopular opinion about this where, and I just saw something that Linus Torvalds is being very clear about using AI for at least QA stuff in the kernel, which I think is the right move, because you could be a Luddite and stick your head in the sand and, pretend like the world isn't moving on around you and make yourself slowly irrelevant. Like, let's say Firefox has done, as a great example. For the most you know, for in many cases they have, you know, right? They're just, it's amazing that they still can produce the product that they do, despite the management and all of that. So anyway, the point I'm making is that I think you can use AI to do cursory scans of the package build. You can have it, you know, verify the links and like where things are going, and there could be at least a modicum of, you know, comfort in saying that there's been some sort of process. But then again, as soon as you do that, you're taking ownership in some way of the packages, the, you know, the quality, the content. It's just like how all of social media has to say, we don't have any say over the content that our users upload, right? Because if they then start saying that they're verifying anything as to what the content is, then suddenly they're now responsible for if someone posts something that, you know, is illegal or they shouldn't. So it's a really complicated problem to have something like the AUR. It's hard to have it be half measures. It either is open and available and just a utility that everyone can use, knowing that there are potentially flaws and, you know, a way that it can be abused, or it's not. And if it's not, then it becomes very difficult to use for everybody. So I wouldn't, and you know, to your point, Ben, I wouldn't just assume that because the ClamAV package is in AUR that there's anything wrong with it. I think you're still looking at a very small percentage of packages that they've identified as being problematic. And I still say that if you're going to the AUR and you're looking at something that is used by a lot of people and is being, you know, reviewed and updated and all of that, that it's just as safe as any other form of acquiring software. The more eyeballs, the safer it is, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's true. So do you think, I guess that it comes back to the question then, do you think that over time we're going to see some things kind of level out in Linux as far as like get the bad actor submissions under control over time? Or do you think we're going to see, are we kind of at what maybe the normal amount of noise, or what do you see going forward here? Do you see a brighter future, or maybe a darker future?
We keep expanding the user base, right? And the more people we get, the bigger the target you are, right?
100%. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. And I think Joe PC said it ages ago that the more people that use Linux, the bigger the bad actors go, oh, look, we've now got 20% of the OS market, so let's start attacking some Linux stuff because there's obviously a lot of people on there. My own opinion is that as an average everyday user, they only want you because they want to chav your codes, your passes, your passwords to see if they can get into bigger fish. So if you work for an organization and you happen to use your home computer to log into that server, they want those keys. They want those, and you'll have to, I don't understand the terminology, but SSH codes or whatever they are. So all your tokens, etc., that when you log into these places, they're hoping they're to catch a fish that can then get them to inside a bank somewhere or whatever. That's the only reason you as an individual have to be careful, I think.
But even then,
they want pictures of. They're gone.
But even then, like the likelihood of getting that from crafting an AUR package or something in the a piece of open source software is less likely than just some sort of a standard phishing or SMS or something like that. That's more likely how you can get nailed. Like I really don't see the attack surfaces being very great in Linux unless you are working for a company of enough substance that they're worth being targeted. That I think is more likely the case.
Yeah, but what you got to remember is these bad actors are using AI. So the only time they do is build me a piece of malware that can attack people on Linux, and off it goes. Well, you know, or they might spend a bit more than that, but they're not physically sitting down and doing the work. They're getting AI to do it for them. So it's no skin off their nose whether they get, you know, 1 person or 10 person. If they, the more they can spread their cards around the table, the more people are going to pick them up.
Yeah. Yeah. So Chuck Frisbee says more likely a supply chain attack, bigger blast radius. Yeah, that's more likely too. So they're gonna probably go after something like a core library like OpenSSL or something like that, or like what was it a while ago? Wasn't gzip? What was the one that got compromised a while ago? There was someone was playing the long game trying to put some malware in there.
Zip.
7-zip.
Yeah, it was 7-zip. Yeah.
7-zip got done. Yeah.
Yeah.
7-zip are done, so that's just how it's going to be, and we'll have to wait for an alternative to that for
No, they got
They fixed it. They fixed it now, Ben. It's perfectly okay again.
Yeah, it wasn't 7-zip itself. It was some core piece of software that 7-zip relied on. It wasn't the application itself. It was something lower level than that. Yeah.
The good news is most of these attacks don't last that long.
Okay.
The people in the Linux community and elsewhere are fantastic at finding, well, I think they are anyway, at finding these issues and resolving them as quickly as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, the only reason I brought that up was because, for example, in Gentoo, I thought they were going to completely drop 7-zip, and I was like, what the heck is this?
Probably. Then Gentoo want to make things harder and harder, so dropping packages is better for them, isn't it?
Right, I get it. Well, I was like, what the heck is this? Because I saw they were dropping the older version. I just wasn't sure if they were dropping the package completely. I was like, what the heck? That would have been... Yeah.
I mean, my opinion about this is, and this is coming from someone who uses their computer to make money every day, is I am zero trust about everything, or as much as I can be, And what I mean by that is, like when I install updates, when I run apt, update and upgrade, I don't let it just automatically do it. And usually I'll wait a week or two before I actually install the updates. New software, it's downloaded into a directory. I scan it, and then I go out there and check it. I mean, it's a pain, but here's the reality of all this. As you guys mentioned, as Linux becomes a larger market share, it's going to be targeted more and more. And and the days of us just being able to trust everybody are gone. Okay, I mean that's gone.
I feel like that's been gone since 2009.
Yeah, well, I think, and that's what you're seeing with the AUR right now is because that's what it's built on, is user trust, and you just can't do that anymore. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's the facts of life.
Yes. And to the Gentoo thing, they actually are switching it to just plain 7-zip now. It's not the P7-zip project anymore. So going forward, if by some chance you're installing Gentoo, it's not P7-zip you install now. It's 7-zip itself is what it is. So just a little heads up there.
Yeah, and can I mention one more tool before we leave this discussion?
Before we go on,
there's a great tool.
XZutils.
There's a great tool called OpenCVE. Okay.
Oh. Okay.
And what OpenCVE is, I'll post the link. It's a SaaS service, and they have a free account, so you can monitor it, and you can have it send you emails when it finds open vulnerabilities on the software you're running or the operating system you're running. And so you can be aware of them before, so you should check that out. I'll put it in the YouTube.
But to get that information, do they have to scan your PC first to find out what software you have?
No.
So how do they know what you've got installed?
No, you have to tell it. You have to go out there and pick the applications and OS.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's better. Yeah.
Yeah. And
can you have it take an inventory?
No,
No. Okay.
no. It's they don't want to touch your system. Okay. All this is a reporting tool for you to go and pick. So, like if you were to use OBS, for instance, as an example, you can go out there and set up a flag for OBS, and anytime a vulnerability is issued or announced, you will get an email about it. That's basically how it works. And I think you're limited to like 5 or 10 on the free account. So it's something to check out. It's a nice little tool. You can find this information, the CVEs out there, without using this tool. But the thing about this is it's proactive, and it will send them to you instead of you having to go search for them all the time.
That's actually just pretty cool. I'll have to look into that. You're just kind of tightening down that tinfoil hat I wear. Thanks a lot, Mike.
And you can do it. I think you can search by vendor. You can search by application. You can search by operating system, or you can pick all of those. So if you want to know every vulnerability for Red Hat Linux, for example, you can go pick that, and it will send you an email every time a vulnerability comes out for it.
That's pretty cool. It's very cool, actually. Yeah. So besides me, right now, maybe Dale, does anybody here use OBS? Okay. Are any of you been following the releases?
I actually do have OBS on my computer. Yes.
So this story is specifically for Steve's very own, and but in a nutshell, so OBS Studio 3.2.0. I'm hoping Steve pipes up about something here, but anyway, it looks like there's a new release. So they added some source. This is from this week from Linux, by the way. My sources on this one. They replaced add source dropdowns with a new dialog. They added a copy paste function to the front end, the API. Added filter to compose STR and HDR, which I've never messed with that at all. Does somebody I don't think I have cameras good enough for HDR. Anyway, they added delete as a hotkey to delete sources on Mac OS, which I don't know about that one. Dynamic bitrate support to multi-track video. They added missing file support for filters. They added ability for plugins to set custom icons for new source types, and then improve the FPS selector user experience. And included WebP files for adding a directory to image slideshow source. And I think that's pretty cool. I like WebP. But anyway, I don't know, did anybody notice or care about any of these other updates and changes?
Steve's very own is the person you want to answer those.
I know.
His OBS setup is insane.
I know. He has I think 730 different plugins or something like that.
Yeah.
731 maybe this week.
And they all work together smoothly, and there's no hiccups, and he can do all sorts of... It's his little hobby at the moment. How many more can I get into OBS that work that don't interfere with its basic functionality?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's
madness. But it's also enjoyable to watch when he does his streams as well.
What I like is he's added all these different little what they call bang whatever functions, like the exclamation point functions. My favorite one is the fart, because I'm still 12 years old at heart, and now he has an exploding fart thing going on.
We all are. I defy anybody to enjoy a good fart joke.
but he has others too, like this like Magic 8-Ball. Oh man, I wish he was here right now. But I just think it's so funny, all the things he's done to be able to integrate, and then like a point system. So you have to have so many points before you can do these things. And then I don't know what the method actually is of how you earn the points. I think just watching the stream. So what if it's interacting and watching, or maybe it's a combination of the two? I don't really know. But I think that's pretty cool how he does all these things. He says he can't use the Flatpak because of the way the plugins work. You can't integrate the plugins with the Flatpak. But I wonder if there's a workaround for that, because I only use the Flatpak. But anyway, yeah. So it just seems like it's really cool that the OBS project is getting a lot of updates. I wasn't sure if anybody was particularly focused in on it or excited about it, but yeah. So.
All right. Oh, one thing, Nate, real quick on my project.
Yes.
I am rebuilding both versions right now with the Precious.
Precious what?
And then I will, on this machine I'm talking to you guys on after the podcast, reboot and install at least the XFCE build on this machine to test it with ClamAV support. And if it installs, it will be uploaded to SourceForge for download.
Sweet.
So we'll be good from there.
Well, that's cool.
All right.
Yeah. But anyway, there's a lot of updates there. Something else that I thought was...
And hopefully in the next version in September, I don't have the darn XFCE terminal bug that I had for the past month.
Oh, for sure.
Because that would be annoying. Yeah.
There was something else. So, with all this LLM stuff and security and whatnot, it's kind of back in the security thing. They've been, rather than dealing with some of the bugs in the Linux kernel, they've been just deleting some drivers and such. I don't know if any of you saw this in Phoronix. It's also in the Linux Saloon Telegram. But looks like some old Linux drivers are facing removal due to the noise from the coding agents. So now is this like a net positive, or would you say this is a net negative? Would you, like, just by having these, by going through and finding these old, I mean, this is not a big deal here really, but basically there's some code for bus mouse driver that was removed, and so you can't use bus mouse drivers. That was introduced like back in 1999, the driver, and then the IP wireless driver is also being removed for like 3G UTM MS PCM CIA cards, which actually I had one of those back in the day. So
I guess it depends on whether or not you like playing with all of those old machines and seeing how long you can keep them going. I know that every time one of these notices comes out, you see a slight frown on Jill Linux Girl's face, because she's got a ridiculous number of machines stored away in archive and in her offices and all over the place. I think she was talking about the last time she counted, she had over 500 of these old type machines. So every time they reduce the drivers, that's that piece that's resigned to a storage unit now and never to be resurrected. So that's the only person that I think will affect it. Or if somebody is really, really using an old machine and they can't afford to buy anything else.
I have an old machine.
I feel like
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, if you're running, it's like having an old car. You know you have to have the parts for it, right? You can't necessarily assume that they're going to produce the part for that vehicle for the rest of time.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably want to stockpile some basic pieces, and I kind of feel like if you have an old machine, it's it's up to you to have a copy of Linux from that era that's going to run. And is it going to be modern? No, of course not. But the machine is not modern either. So I think the idea that we have all of this technical debt of, every driver that's ever been, added to the kernel. I mean, yes, it does affect some people, but the number is infinitesimal to the overall number of people that use Linux.
Mhm.
And I just feel like it's an undue burden for the rest of everyone else to have to deal with a huge kernel that has all of this extra cruft that it really doesn't need. Maybe is it more fair to have another kernel or a kernel that you can build and add those things in, have those things be modules, kernel modules. I think there's ways to solve that, but you start getting into the situation of like Microsoft, where Windows has to be backward compatible with everything that's been, designed in the last 30 years, which just gets to be, I think one of the reasons why Windows is probably such a hard piece of software to maintain and keep from being such a mess. So yeah, I just don't think you can keep the drivers forever.
Yeah,
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but to pick up on that point, we did an article about this on Destination Linux, and I found a news article that was again from Phoronix that talked about, I don't know, there was something like 15,000 old drivers that were being removed. There was a few hundred old drivers being removed that accounted for 15,000 lines of the Linux kernel, which at the time was 38 million lines long. So yes, it's great to have them out, but it doesn't make that big a difference to the kernel that you're downloading, because 15,000 lines out of 38 million, it doesn't even start to count on the decimal scale, as in the percentage.
So I think the part that where I'm at with this is, so here I'm of two schools of thoughts. Two schools of thought. One, I've been using Linux now because I've enjoyed using it since like 2003, 2002 is when I first started using it like for fun, and then it became my full-time thing in 2003, and then now it's like as about 2023 is actually was my professional thing outside of like doing my cubicle late nonsense, but like where my livelihood comes in part because of my Linux knowledge. So on one hand, I'm very saddened by the trimming of the kernel, for under the guise of security and unmaintained, things, because, I do have old things, who was it that asked, was it Old Wolf or Francois said something to the effect of, who uses these old, bits of tech. Well, actually, I still do keep some going because they're fun for me. And so on one side, I see the value in that, but I don't want these hypercritical machines at work to be compromised because of a bus mouse driver that was left in the kernel that it was used as an exploit. So I'm of those two schools of thought immediately. Like what's really more important? If I have to say what's really more important, it's that the company I work for doesn't get shut down because of a bus mouse driver flaw. I'm not saying that's going to happen or is even at risk, but that to me is the concern. So then I think to Eric's point, what would be the additional work to have these as kernel modules, or like have like maybe like a legacy module that has all these things in there that can be grafted back onto the kernel as needed, or even just added at compile time. But then who's maintaining those is going to be the other issue, because as the kernel continues to improve, someone's got to maintain those things. How do you do that? I don't know. I wish I knew how to keep the 5 1/4 floppy drivers going for Linux kernel, but there's workarounds for that now with the grease weasel. So I don't know. I mean, I see both sides of it on this.
Yeah, and that's the problem at the moment. There's not enough people around to maintain the current kernel properly enough. And I wholeheartedly agree with what Eric said on one of those things there, and I think this is what Jill does. She doesn't upgrade the Linux operating systems on those machines, because she can't, because they can't run the new stuff. But then she's also left behind on the security side of things. So very few of those machines actually hit the internet. They're just there for... She really needs to open up a Linux museum. Yeah.
She should probably have her own museum at this point.
She has got one. There's just nowhere to display it. Most of it's in garages, on shelves, boxed up.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I don't know that we have a solution for any of that, really. I mean, it's... What do you do? I mean, fork the kernel, have a legacy kernel, but then how do you could those things run in parallel? I don't know. Then what's the point? I mean, at some, I don't know, 'cause the way software is just being developed now, I mean, I don't know that it'll even work. You know, I think when we came into the Wayland Pipewire age of Linux and the containerization, it's almost a whole different operating system now than what it was before that. If you look at it, it's, I mean, yeah, it's the same, but it's very different as far as the architecture of it. We have the way, which I think is better, the way we're piping audio multimedia around is different. The way we're handling application containment, with AppArmor and SE Linux, that's very different than what we did long ago because we had to adapt, for the sake of users. So I don't know. It's it's a lot. What's this? Blue Bubble says the kernel jumped in gigabytes so 3 gigabytes from 6 to 9, and 7, whatever, in 3 months. Been valuing it intensively. Huge jump. Do you mean like the kernel, like the raw kernel size? I'm curious as to what he means by that. How much RAM it requires to run Linux? I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know if we can solve that world problem right there, but it's certainly something to kind of ponder. Because I have this netbook that's got 2 gig of RAM and it's awfully slow. But then I think I have a when I bought it in 2007, when I bought my laptop, I got it with 2 gig of RAM, which was 4 times what I had running on the previous machine. And that was an amazing amount of memory. But in very short time, from 2007 to 2009, I actually upgraded it to 8 gigabytes because of just that the demand changed in those 2 years insanely. I don't know if anybody else remembers this time as well, but I needed to weigh up my memory. You say something, Dale? No. And so, but I felt like 8 was good for a while, and then kind of about 2015, 16 or so, maybe 2017, the RAM requirements for browsers just went crazy. And then I kind of feel like we've been pretty steady since then, but now with all this other security and containerization, that just bumped it up again. So just to do a simple thing like write a paper, you need a crazy number of transistors just to do that. While, not so many years ago, I could write a paper on this thing, on 64 kilobytes of RAM. I'm like, what's really going on here? So.
Yeah, everything just expects more resources. It's I call it the goldfish principle, which everybody's familiar with that. Where supposedly if you give a goldfish a bigger bowl, it'll just keep getting bigger and bigger, taking up the space that it has available. And as the phones get more powerful, or systems went from a gig, 2 gigs. Now most of mine are 16 gigs of memory on my computers, and even my phone now I think has 4 or maybe 6 gigs. So they just assume, there's going to be enough resources, so we don't have to worry about it. And optimization has always been something that's been the last consideration in most cases, unless it had to run on very modest hardware. Yeah,
I was going to say most of that is, I think, and apologies to any developers out there, is down to lazy developing. A classic example of that recently, and takes us back to the game sphere. Most games nowadays will put their game out and tell you it can run, 240 frames a second, as long as you use AMD's frame generation or NVIDIA's frame generation. Yet there was another game that came out that refused to put out AMD frame generation and NVIDIA frame generation, and it ran just as good as previous versions because the developers decided to make sure that the code was written tightly and was there for performance, not just slap everything on from last year, then put all these extra bits on, and to make it run properly, chuck a bit of DLLS in there. if they, and I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of, but if they were to tighten up on their code, and I still will take you back to the very first version of the the Elite Dangerous that came out on a 3.5-inch floppy, and it looked just as good. It doesn't look just as good as what it is today, but it then looked just as good for years. When you then started to had to download 7, 8, 9, 10 gigs just to get the flipping thing to run.
Yeah, we have opened that Pandora's box of realism in video games where it's like we're not allowed to go back to like using our imaginations, right? Everything has to be hyper realistic to the detriment of everything else. And you can't just have modest hardware. I mean, you still can, I guess, and if you can tune it down enough, some games are still, they'll let you do that, turn off a lot of the higher end bits. But yeah, I mean, I go back and look at some of the early games I played on consoles, in the 80s that are like a laughably, almost not even graphics in a way. It's like 2 colors and it's just some shapes, and you're like, yeah, that was a game. Like, how did I play this for like weeks at a time and not get bored? Because that was what there was, and that's your brain was engaged with with that, and you saw what you wanted to see, and you made it very interesting and fun. So now it feels just like it feels more like you're a spectator than a participant in a lot of ways. I don't know.
Just don't give Ryan any ideas, please, Eric. Otherwise, I'll be doing a review of the next pixelated bloody game.
Right. I mean, although I will say this, Eric, and same to you, Zeb, Star Wars Galaxies, while it has not aged well, or as well as it could have, in most years, it came out in the XP era days, back in the help us all dial-up era, and I mean, heck, it did take, close to almost 24 hours to download the whole dang game back then, because it shipped on 3 CDs, which was only like 2 some odd gigs to install. And then, oh my God, once you got in there, like on the first day of release, you couldn't even play the darn thing because Sony's or SOE's servers were crumbling trying to get anybody on the darn game. It was horrendous, but nowadays, playing on the emulator servers, you can get it installed in like a matter of maybe less than 10 minutes given the proper connections. So it's like, But the problem with emulator-based games is that, the communities have shrank, so it's not exactly as easy, to Eric's point, it's not easy getting people into these older games because, the graphics and other things like that, there's just not enough demand, for anyone or a lack of interest for that matter, for anyone to really maintain these games outside adding slight new features and slight things like that that other servers have already thrown into the mix, so it's not exactly, like I said, easy thing to bring them into modern light. It's just not. And there's not really any active community member that can invest that kind of time and effort into that,
Yeah, it's all about the money.
Yes.
How much money I can make in a short space of time, run it for 3 or 4 years, then dump it, and then bring the next project out.
Right. I mean, because if you look at, for example, the Old Republic, which is a modern somewhat game where they're bringing DirectX 12 and all these modern technologies into it, it'll look 1,000 times better than, for example, Galaxies will, even with like a reshade and all these other enhancements on top of it. And there is actually a developer out there who did an RTX or an NVIDIA RTX config file that actually makes it look a little bit better, but it still looks horrendously old on a modern machine. So the point is, yes, you can take these older games and make them look a little bit better, but in the end, they're not going to look as good as something more actively developed. They're just not, you know. So yeah,
Well,
a lot of these games. Go ahead.
people work on what interests them ultimately. So
Yes,
yeah, it's the way that like
it's
with
just.
um,
Hmm.
Descent back from the 90s was open sourced. Not the levels themselves, but the engine was open source and all, the game itself, the game logic, and that actually grew because people had interest in developing and progressing that. So I think, in a way, in that case, open source actually allows for, I think, games to live on through the generations, and kind of grow with time. So I think Old Republic could probably be, a New Republic or whatever.
Well, actually, to that point, Nate, on the topic of that game, it actually doesn't have a full-on Linux port, but it is runnable in Steam on Linux, actually through Proton and all that kind of stuff. So, while it may be if you download their official launcher through SWTOR.com, you have to run it in Windows or on a Mac. Now, here's the thing about the Mac version. It only runs on Apple Silicon. It does not run on a Intel Mac worth a darn unless you actually use crossover or something like that, or run it in a Windows VM or a Linux VM or something like that, which honestly, I've tried it. It can work, but the performance and the mouse control is heinous. So I would recommend, if you're going to run it on Linux, just run it on Steam. I've tested it. It works perfectly fine. So, yeah. Now, Galaxies, on the other hand, it requires a bit more wine hibbery jibbery to actually get working. So,
It's a technical term.
do it at your own
Hibbery-jibbery.
risk. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, long story short, if you're going to run a Star Wars game on Linux, your mileage may vary.
So I want to address a couple of these comments
But-
here in the chat. So Jason Bratcher says Linux software is woefully unprepared for the totally visually impaired. You're probably right. I think tech is entirely across that. Although I was at a vintage computer fest and they had like these Braille readers. Those are pretty cool. Don't know if they work in Linux, and I'm not sure. I know there's been some work on accessibility on KDE. The Plasma, the KDE community has been doing quite a bit of work in that whole accessibility thing. So I think that's not. I don't know if woefully unprepared is the right term, but maybe not there yet would probably be good. I would say I would agree with that. So, yeah. Anyway, so and then also but Jason also says there's seriously no way I can game on Linux, not with the way today's developers vibe everything. Do developers not vibe things on other platforms? I don't know. I don't have an answer for you on that one. So, yeah. Anyway, thought I'd just address those because I thought those were interesting. But we are out of time for chat, so we'll go ahead and go to the housekeeping real quick here. We are slightly behind. Where'd my timer go? There's my timer. So real quick for housekeeping, we do have tonight, we're doing Odyssey Linux, so odysseylinux.org if you want to check that out. It's not too late to install that if you want to join us tonight for the conversation. It'll be a good time. You can do real hardware or VM, but the developers do prefer you use real hardware for that. Next week is an open mic night, and then the following week, August 22nd, there is no Linux Saloon, but we will have Linux Saloon the week after that. So I will be very involved with the county fair that week, so I'm not going to have time for Linux Saloon. If somebody else wants to do Linux Saloon, Eric, I'm not opposed to that. So
Yeah, check with me and see if I can try.
Okay.
Seeing if I could set stuff up, but just let me know.
I will give you anything that you want that I can send through the emails.
Okay.
Access to his bank account.
Except that.
No, I want assets, not liabilities.
Oh, okay. I can send you like a credit card I canceled. So if you have any suggestions, discussion, distribution, application, or poll ideas, send them to suggestions@linuxsaloon.com or Discord or Telegram. You can tag it as such. If you have any poll ideas as well, we can do that. I have some listener feedback, but we're out of time, so we'll get to that maybe tonight. And then, so we're going to go ahead and hop into the last call. So if anyone had anything else around the horn they want to talk about. Ben, do you have anything else you want to talk about with Star Wars Legends or Legions or Old Republic or
Galaxies or Republic?
Galaxies?
Well,
Lego Star Wars. Lego Star Wars. Try that one. Those are great.
Oh, I actually do own that on the Xbox, but I just haven't had.
But do you actually own it, or do you just have a certificate? Is it actual physical copies?
Well, I should say that tonight there is going to be a Twitch stream of me doing the player versus player PvP event on there. If anyone wants to check it out, it sadly will be at the same time as the next edition of this. So
no worries.
I may not. I mean, I might be here if it ends early enough. I don't know, but if not, check out either one. I will be posting the link to my server in here if anyone wants to come down and all that kind of stuff. But either way, support Linux Saloon, support me, whatever, that sort of thing. We will be glad to have you. Thanks, guys.
Well, I see you're going to try and take away all of the people who would watch Linux Saloon to watch your stream, and I'm so offended.
No. I'm just advertising it, man.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not offended.
All right.
I just want to real quick address something. Paul, you don't have to worry about it. You can disable the AUR. It's only if you install specific packages. You're fine. Don't worry about it. You're good, Paul. You're good. Dale, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm a little tired. I was up kind of late last night, working on some stuff, and then I think like my voice is kind of going a little bit. It's like I can tell it's a struggle. But yeah, how are you?
Good. Now, if I do have a few minutes, I'd like to give kudos and props to the OpenSUSE developers working on Agama.
Oh.
There was a bug in some of the more recent Agama builds where if you didn't have a network cable connected, it would fail. Even if you have Wi-Fi available, it would just say no product found and just stop. They have fixed that. It still says no product found, but there's another little link that says connect to a Wi-Fi. So they have fixed that. Another thing is I filed the bug report against recent builds of Agama that it didn't include the cockpit pattern, and they fixed it for my bug report and closed the bug report, and now it's working again. And one last thing is OpenSUSE. I just installed it with Agama on my laptop with no wired connection. Everything worked fine. And after it got installed and I did do my first login on KDE Plasma, it did default finally to Plasma Wayland. And I've been pushing for that for years, and they have finally pulled that trigger. I won't talk about why they finally pulled that trigger, but they finally pulled that trigger.
So I've been watching the discussion on the mailing list, and it looks like that they are working on for Plasma 6.8. I think it's they're replacing SDDM with Plasma something. I can't remember what it's called now.
Plasma Login. It's called Plasma Login.
And so it seems like, and I didn't verify any of this, but by reading it seems like they're getting close to a solution.
I'm not keeping up with that too much because the ones that are complaining about not doing it until it's ready are the ones that need RDP, which I don't use. I don't know much about it. I know it has something to do with network connection of your computer to another computer. That's all I know. I'm not affected, so I'm not really following it. But the KDE developers are still working on making the RDP work to the same degree that the GNOME login screen works. And as soon as that happens, I'm pretty sure I think that's the only thing they're waiting on.
So I can tell you RDP in Plasma today with Wayland is actually quite good. You do have to, there's some issues with because as soon as it wants to, as soon as the request comes to share your screen, Plasma won't do it until you actually allow it. So you can't do unattended connections. That can be a problem. But I think from a user perspective, from an individual perspective, it's fine. If you are managing lots of systems, that becomes a problem. So if it's like in an enterprise environment, I will say, I know it's really getting worked on, and it's very close. The RDP session itself is good. I do have one complaint with it, and it's some for whatever reason, like the rendering at the very bottom gets a little bit garbled. Not a big deal. It's like the last maybe 8 pixels or so, but because Rocco would have an issue with a pixel out of place. I have a problem with that because there's a whole row of pixels out of place. They're all just kind of shifted over. It's really irritating. Or is it smeared down? Doesn't matter. Either way, it's not right, but it's close. It's so close. It's very close.
And I'd also like to add on the last Linux Saloon, I kind of teased a pretty big project coming. I'll tease a little more and talk about it a little bit more this evening in Linux Saloon, but I have been working on setting up doing this weekend OpenSUSE every Sunday, and I've got Hertian and Lubosh are both on board to help any help that I need. And so that's a big project I'm working on it'll be starting this Sunday, and I'll have a little bit more detail about it in the next Linux Saloon this evening.
Fantastic. Well, that's exciting.
Thank you.
It's very exciting.
What time are those shows at, Dale?
I will probably be publishing them at, I think, about 6 o'clock in the evening.
Is that Eastern or Central?
Eastern. Simultaneously publishing an article form on the website and a podcast form on my podcast. Yes, I have a podcast. It's pretty dead right at the moment, but that's going to liven it up quite a bit, I do believe.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Very cool.
Well, I will do my best to catch at least the video version somehow.
Thank you.
Just depends on what I have going on and crap like that. So
that's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Anything else, Dale? Because I don't want to. If you got more on that list, I don't want to curtail any of that.
Nope. Actually, that was the teaser I was going to fill you in on this evening, but I went ahead and thrown it out there. So I'm good.
Sweet. Awesome.
Well,
I look forward to it.
Thank you.
Zeb.
Nate.
So I'm gonna miss you tonight.
Yes, unfortunately, there's no way I'm going to be able to get a kip. I'm still hyped up after this show, so yeah, I won't be there at 1 o'clock my time, unfortunately.
It's all good.
But I'm enjoying my Linux only week. I still haven't reverted back to Windows once this week, so my main OS at the moment is Bazite. I am still jumping around on distros, trying different things. I tried CachyOS with Cosmic, as you saw from the screenshots in the Linux Saloon, and whilst it's okay, it's just not for me. I just can't. There's certain bits about it that I just don't like. So it'll be a case of I'll come back in 6 months' time. But I think I said that a month ago, I'll come back in 6 months' time, and here we were a month later using it. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, sticking with Bazite, and yeah, enjoying it.
That's fantastic. That's really awesome. It's good that you have something that's working out well, I think. And I mean, I'm not convinced you're going to stick with it, but I mean, I could be wrong. I think I might be totally off in this one.
What? You don't think I'm going to stick with Bazite or stick with not using Windows? Because there's two items in there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Both. You think I'll revert back on both? You know I like a good challenge, Nate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, no. I mean, you did stick on peppermint for a long time, but after peppermint, you've been kind of you've been like a Linux nomad.
A lost puppy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you know, yes, you're right. My mind does wander all over the place, but just to prove I can do it, I will stick with Bazite, and I will not use Windows unless a family member needs support.
Yeah, that's fair. There are a few things Windows does really, really well. That's just the way it is.
Indeed, but then I've worked out ways to bypass some of those things that I can't do on Windows. And I'm still waiting for somebody to teach me how to use bottles properly. Hello, world, someone must know how to do it. And I don't mean, yeah, you just run this, that, and the other and do that, that, and that. I need a proper tutorial video that is an idiot's guide, not a technical guide.
Okay. Actually, I don't actually really know bottles really well. I've never actually used it. I've not used it, like really used it. So, what do you want to run on bottles?
I want to be able to run a browser and a program called Quick Copy Paste, which makes it so much easier to just meta key 1, and I've got a list of 10 items that I can just click it and it pops it into Twitch Paste. Because I moderate quite a few Twitch channels and I've got, I suppose, 97 commands. And yes, I can get this copy paste to work, but it won't interact with a Linux browser. So I need an instance where I've got this program and a Windows browser inside bottles so that it works. And then my life will be happy.
Gotcha. Send me the application name if you could, or link to it.
Yeah, we'll do. No worries at all.
I'm curious now. You've piqued my curiosity. I'm like.
Yeah, I mean, I can get that application to work. I just can't get that application to work and a Windows browser to work, and for the two to interact. And I understand I need to run them both inside the same bottle/Docker, whatever you want to call it. I get, my brain just goes when you start talking about all that stuff.
Right.
So Zab, you just want to store predefined text and be able to cut and paste it?
No, I don't want to cut and paste it, because I can cut and paste it now using Kate, which is what I'm doing. With quick paste text, I literally go meta 1, and I then pick from a list that comes up under my mouse, and I click it, and then that text is automatically put into the browser. And there is absolutely nothing on Linux that can do it as well as quick copy paste.
Okay, I got you.
I've tried them all. I've even had Jill telling me various applications in Linux that does the same thing, but it really doesn't. I'd have to give somebody a demonstration to show them how beautiful this application is, but it only works on Windows.
There is an application that might do it. Maybe. I mean, we have a developer in here. He's got something very similar already. Maybe. I don't know who that might be.
Yeah, well, maybe I can sit down with that developer and then I'll show him what it is I would like, and no compromises. It's because I know I can do it by bottles if I can just work out bottles.
Okay. I'd like to see the application though. Just I'm curious in the application. Cool. Well, hey, thanks for that. Thanks for being here. I'll miss you tonight, but totally get it. You gotta, that sleep thing is kind of important.
Especially when you get to my age.
61?
'68 in December.
Oh.
I was 61 when I did the 24-hour trucking stream.
Oh.
Back in 2019.
Yeah. I remember that. It's wild. It's been that long, huh? That's crazy.
That did work out really well. It made it Major Geeks. No, what was it? I think it was Major Geeks. We managed to raise $1,500 for the charity.
That's awesome. Well, good deal. All right. Well, I guess I'll see you next week then. Eric, how you doing, man? Oh, I can't hear you. Makes me a little sad. I can come back. The other mic, the full scale for me mic, he snuck in, hasn't said anything. Hopefully he has something to say now.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now, Eric. Go ahead, fire away.
There you go. All that is to say, I don't really have anything other than to thank you for hosting, and I will probably be on later, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, if you can be, thank you. If you can't be, totally understand. IRL is...
I did try to turn my camera on, by the way, and it just froze, so...
Yeah. I got you.
Oh, well.
All right. And then full
I'm
scale
just
for me,
too pretty
Mike?
for Discord.
I guess so. You keep breaking the... keep shutting everything down.
Just been Mr. Nowhere Man doing nowhere things in nowhere land, so maybe next week an update.
Well, I appreciate you being here. Hopefully I get to see you tonight. If not, I get it. It's okay. No pressure. But, and then Mike Chilson.
I didn't do it.
I know. But,
Whatever it is, I didn't do
but
it.
you thought about it.
I did. Let's see what's been going on. Just work, man. Lots of Rails applications. Just writing Ruby 8 hours a day. So I wanted to mention again, I try and do this every week because it's such a good resource like this one. The Atlanta Linux Enthusiasts user group.
Mm-hmm.
They have a Sunday meeting every Sunday at 3 to 6 p.m. U.S. Eastern. I will put a link to their site on YouTube and in our internal chat there.
Okay.
And there's a lot of guys with a lot of IT experience there, and if you're having an issue that you can't seem to work out, they're very nice and non-judgmental and just a lot like, that's why I like them, is because they're a lot like this group, and they're there to help. So check them out if you need some help with something, or just if you just want to go hang out and listen to the conversation.
And I can testify to that because I joined them one week, and what was really great, there's a lot of people on there older than me.
That's right. There are. Zeb, you and I are like kids compared to them. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And they are really nice, friendly. I agree with Mike. I can't big them up enough. Great bunch of guys and girls.
I think, was it Rod Stewart that sang the song Forever Young?
Yep.
I think that's applies to Zeb.
I mean, it's wild. I mean, I enjoy it because I'm like the kid in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
It's great. All right. And then let's see. Well, thank you very much for being here, Mike. Hopefully see you tonight. And then we still got to talk about that stuff. One thing slow down. Gotta nail that one down.
Sure.
I'm on a podcast called Linux Out Loud. We haven't recorded in a couple weeks, but you can check out our back catalog of things. Also, another great podcast. Check out the Linux User Space. Their back catalog is great as well. A website called cubiclenate.com. I do stuff there. You can check that out. Also, the show notes will be residing there as well. I want to thank you all for your support, how we do it, being a part of this conversation, both the Discord meeting as well as being over Discord voice chat, I guess, as well as the YouTube text stream. Everyone who watches the show after the fact, thank you very much for that. I want to thank you all for everyone. I want to thank everyone involved in making Linux and open source tools possible for us to not only have this conversation, but also to have fun and enjoy our technology. Linux truly puts personal back into personal computer. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure to tip your developers, and please remember to Linux responsibly. Until next time, see you. So I gotta wait again for the. I gotta increase the speed of those credits, credit roll. Yep, sure do. It's a little bit slow. Yeah, see you tonight if you can make it.